We have the code under test, and now in this live coding session, we can start refactoring it because it's full of smells that are maybe not obvious to many folks because it looks a lot like normal code. Hi, welcome to the Quality Coding stream. Hello, Mudshark, and whoever else is here, hello. Thanks for joining, and let's see, what was I going to talk about? I don't know. At least I got the sound working this time, even though I had to do a quick reboot. This time I remembered and turned my microphone back on. I've got the mute button working, so I can cough like that and not blow your ears out. So it looks like we're in good shape. Hope everyone is doing well. For those who are watching this after the fact, please give it a like, a subscribe, so that you get more of these in your feed. And you can always change your mind later if you don't like it. All right. Self-presentation. Yep. All right. Oh. Let's see. There we go. So this is where we are. We're going through a set of code katas in Swift. Well, hello, Silverback Swift. I don't remember your name. So welcome. Good to have you. We are going through the expense report. I've broken these katas into different categories, and we're right now focusing on the legacy code ones. And we've been going through the expense report, which has it's available in a ton of languages, like a ridiculous number, and it has this as the goal: add lunch with an expense limit of 2,000. That is the goal. Here's where we are. We've got tests for all this code now. Actually, what is the test? I think, yes, we have, looks like an approval test. The approval test, I'll show the files here, is writing this out. Hello, welcome first-time chatter. Glad to have you. Feel free to ask me any questions about anything, whether it's related to what I'm showing or not. So this basically is the test. Stick around and you may find out. Though app code is on death's door because it is going to be put into, well, JetBrains says they are going to stop maintaining it at the end of this year. That still gives me till the end of this year, and it is by far the better IDE. So great. I can't say it. Suasunua, also an iOS engineer. Yay. So Silverback. I had a fun day coding, built a proof of concept, and soon realized I'd like to make it a product. Unfortunately, the POC was untested. Aha. Well, no, there's no shame in that. So I did a full rewrite and loved every moment of it. There is no shame in writing untested code because you did exactly what it was for. You discovered something about it. That is, is this something that you want to build up? And you decided yes, and so you did a great thing. A rewrite, presumably to make it testable. That is awesome. Way to go. So we've got the test of the expense report in place, which compares against this using approval tests. And I'm using TCR. You'll begin to see why I'm using app code. I have a TCR plugin enabled. Let's move this over. Limited whip that does test and commit or revert. Let's see. Hey, thank you, GSN GSNNER for the follow. Appreciate it. Let's make this on pass test. Let's open the commit dialog. Anyway, TCR, if it passes the tests, it will commit. If it fails the tests, it will revert. And let's just demonstrate that real quick. Hey, Swiggy. So if I do like car rental and I run the tests, boop. And it reverted it, and the approval tests show the difference. It's funny how coding with discipline makes you prouder of your work. There is joy in coding. And I think my motto that sort of I put on LinkedIn to try to sell myself, as it were, is drive down. Now I can't think of it. Drive down your cost of change and increase your joy and drive down your cost of change. And to me, those are two halves, two selling points of working with technical agility and discipline. For the business, they don't care if you're filled with joy. They just want the stuff. And this will drive down the cost of change, which is very important if you're going to be agile, because it's all about change. But for a programmer, for a developer, my mission is to increase people's joy and to take away your fear. So yeah, I think those two, basically there are two halves of the same whole. So we've got tests in place. We have this code, and now let's go to town. And here is where I am going to really ask you to suggest your comments. Hey, there are more folks here. Do say hello in the chat. And say where you are in the world. That's always fun, especially you lurkers. Even if you're just swinging by real briefly just to check this out, say hello. It's fun for me. I think it's fun for everyone. All right. So what's wrong with this code? It's not very long, but it is, to me, this is a long method right away. Right away, this is a long method. So yeah, Mudshark's there in Sweden. I'm tempted to extract this for loop, but I'm also aware that it's one of the main problems. Oh, Silverback in the UK. Thank you. Maybe you changed your name and I don't recognize you. Then, which is totally fine. One of the main problems is that this is mixing different concerns to do this print statement. To write out a line. So this is writing out a line. You know what? Let's just start anywhere. I'm teaching a class right now, privately, a workshop on iOS development. And I gave them a refactoring exercise without a whole lot of guidance, because one of the comments I got was, well, you really need to be an expert to know which way to go. The more experience you have with refactoring, the better chance you'll have of staking out in a good direction. But it doesn't matter a whole lot. What matters is to begin to improve things and make a small step, because you can always change your mind, and that small step may make things more obvious. So I want to take everything inside of this for loop, and here's the first app code. Actually, it's not the first app code trick. The first app code trick was that I can use plugins and I can use TCR to automatically revert if anything fails. So this is my second app code trick, is that I am doing increasing or decreasing the selection area. And now let's extract this to, I'm not sure what it is. So let's like do stuff with expense. It's got a couple in-outs, which is gross, right? We don't want in-out parameters, but I'm okay with that. As a temporary measure, let's do this. And now it's prompting me. It passed. Now it's prompting me for what I did. This was a provable refactoring because it was automated. So following Arlo's notation, I'm going to say extract method. So unlike previous rounds where I've just said TCR, this time I'm going to try to identify what I'm doing. And there it checked in. So what do we got here? I mean, what's with this in-out? We can certainly fix these. The in-out should return, right? It shouldn't just take stuff in and out. It should return something. So let's start maybe with the total. Let's return the total for starters. And of course it's complaining because there is no return type. So let's make it return the correct type, like that. And then let us say total equal. Now this might be kind of sketchy. Let me just start with this. Okay. So this is a non-provable refactoring, but it is test supported. By tests indicate that it is okay. So instead of a lowercase r, it's a slightly riskier uppercase R of return total. Once I return the total, I don't think, see, it comes in as 0 as the starting value. Yeah, it's collecting it. So that smells like something, right, we can pull out. But let me move it out here. And how to do this in small steps. I think I can do this in decent enough small steps by saying total equal. And now let's not make it in-out. Can I do this with... I don't know if it will change this for me. But let's try it and see what it does. No, it didn't fix it up. That's all right. So I think this will pass. If it doesn't pass, it'll revert it. It didn't pass. All right. So that didn't work at all. Oh. Well. Yeah, I was moving, I did too much. So let's try it again. Well, if it's passing the total in, it should get the total out. We probably do want to accumulate it somehow. So let me get rid of the in out like this. Let's see if this works. Build failed. Oh. I don't know why it's saying that. The left side of a mutating operator isn't mutable. Total is a let. Oh, here. All right. Yep. Okay, this is blocking us. Let's get back with a get reset hard and try again. Should be back to green. No? Did I not reset in the right? Do. Move the total back out and return the expense amount instead. Right. Because we were processing one expense at a time, we should be able to do that. That is a good idea. Let me try. I am not in the right place, apparently. Let's see. This is... Actually, I'll just do it from here. I'll say get rid of that. Let's try it again. So I've done a couple of wrong starts here, and that's okay. So instead of accumulating the total, we just return the expense amount and say total plus equal. So right, let's move this out and say like that and not make it in out. Let's see how this goes. Thank you, that worked. If it's asking me to commit, then it passed. So this is move that out. Excellent. And now I don't think we need to pass it in at all. Okay, I think this is actually unused. So let's try. Here's another app code trick. Let me just remove this parameter. And that's good. Now that was automated. But it's not really provable. So I would say it's test supported. Remove total param. Okay, that's starting to become better. That is definitely better. Now, what about this meal expenses? That's yet another thing to return. I wish do stuff didn't do so much. And let's see. Open to suggestions here. Okay, so this is an easy smell. The expense type should know its own name. And I think we can do that by making it a string. So this is not a like a regular refactoring. This is a Swift specific refactoring, where I think I can say this is breakfast and this is dinner. Yeah, Mudshark, I think you're probably right there. That it would be better to have two loops to do two different things or something. All right, let's see. Let me do this much at first. And now let's see if I can't use the expense type as the expense name. So this will be expense type and the raw value of it, the string. I think that will let me get rid of these. Good. And now it's complaining that this is never mutated. So, well, this is taking Xcode. It is calling Xcode underneath. And Xcode is saying, hey, fix it. So now this becomes a let. That's probably good enough. And that was provable. All right, split the loop into two separate loops. Because that's what we're facing with this other in-out, isn't it? So Silverback, I would have done it differently, maybe created an extension, conform to... Yeah, that's probably the more flexible way. In this case, I knew that it was an enum. Well, I saw the switch statement. Separating it, a nice advantage of separating it would be that you could pass the expense type around, but not everything needs to know how to translate it into a string. So that would probably be a good place to use it as an extension style instead, so that all the users of expense type can just say, like, oh, it's breakfast, dinner, or whatever, and never see the strings because that's none of their business. So in a way, that's mixing concerns. Yeah, exactly. Nice. We may come back to that, because that's some good thought there, that you try. It's best not to mix presentation stuff in with business stuff, the data models. Yeah, good points there. So I wonder if here's an idea. What if I have a second do stuff? Oh, but I don't want it to print. Ooh, it's adding things up and it's printing in the same thing. Ugh. Yeah, let's do some actually, first I want to inline this. Bear with me. I want to make it clear that this is doing multiple things. So let me first inline this. App code trick. That's an inline var. And then I want to pull this out, because this is the print. So that's like print expense. I don't know if I want to call it print, because that's kind of confusing. The only reason we have this print here is to act as indirection, so that we can capture it instead of going out to the console. So I think I need a different word, like write the expense line. Since I don't want write expense line expense, I'm going to change this to an internal name, like that. There. That makes it clear that it's doing something interesting. All right. So here's my idea. So instead of we could inline and then extract more, or I'm going to do a second do stuff with expense that returns meal expenses. Hey, first time chatter, wouldn't it read nicer? Write expense line 4. Oh, probably would. Let me take that. Thank you for first time chat from everyone has names I can't read. Loco. Oh, Tigre Loco. Uh, uh, El Tigre Loco. Got it. The 3. Got it. Nice. Yeah, I agree. That would be more Swifty, following the Swift naming. So I agree. Let's change this to right expense line for the expense. Good. All right. So, now I'm thinking still about Swiggy's idea and thinking maybe I should try it. Like, things have already changed. What happens? Let's just try it. This is one of the brilliant things about moving in small steps, where every step that is safe is committed. This is a technique that we teach at Industrial Logic. Did I fail to introduce myself? Hi, I'm John Reed, a senior consultant at Industrial Logic, where our job is mostly training and coaching, and occasionally doing some coding gigs. So part of what we teach is this notion that you move with safety with sort of safety clamps. Every time you're in a safe space, we commit. Doop doop doop, like the most. What is with that? I think I messed up my camera there for a second. Like the least inexperienced rock climber, right? Not a free climber. I mean, somebody who just doesn't want to die. So that if at any point something goes wrong, they drop. And the drop is, you minimize it, make it. So let's try it. Like, let's do, it's already a different shape, which is interesting. Let me run this. I'm kind of excited to try this, Suyi, even when I poo-pooed it at the beginning. Okay, so this expense, this is an artifact of the inlining. So I can get rid of that by inlining that. Self dot is not necessary, so I can get rid of it. Okay, now let's try this again, because what if I go like this? I'm going to duplicate this whole for loop. And in the first one, I'm going to keep these 3 lines, but get rid of these. But in the second one, I'm going to get rid of these. Does that work? Something seems upset. Oh, it cleared up. So, duplicating the loop, spreading it out a bit. If it passes, it's good. So this is, let me do this again. I'm going to keep the right expense line. I'm going to drop the total. Here, I'm going to keep that one more time. This may look like, wow, isn't that inefficient to loop over everything 3 times instead of once? Because you were taught in computer science that that's bad. Let's see, I can reuse the last message there. And my answer for that is it does not matter for small numbers of for a very short list. It will not matter. If it's a gigantic list and iterating over it is expensive, yes. But it's also like right now it's super hard to optimize. Or rather, when we started, it was super hard to optimize. By splitting apart the concerns, we can make things clearer, and this will lead to hopefully more optimized code. And if it is not, then we can change our minds. Yep, that last loop seems unnecessary. That we can just say, let's see. How does this work? Expenses, reduce, the initial result is going to be 0, right? That's the starting. And the next partial will be, let's see. How do I, darn it. I'll just click into it. Takes the result and expense and returns the result. So, oh, there we go. I just needed to type open brace so that I could see that a little bit better. Oop. So this will be Can you do that? I don't think it can be, not quite, because we need to get at the expense amount. But let's see if we can get to such a trick. But let's move in small steps where I say this will return 0 plus amount, I think. Oh, and I need to assign this to total. Like, let's try that. Hey. So that gets rid of that. And now I don't need this out here. I can just say let the total equals that. There we go. That's like bring the var together. Hope you're having fun. This is fun for me. For people who are new to Swift, if you haven't seen reduce before, it's like, where did that loop go? And the answer is reduce does a loop. So it's still looping. Although odds are, because it is now in Apple's hands, in the hands of the Swift language itself, the chances of it being more optimized instead of my own code is higher. So I don't know if there's a way to express that plus so nicely. I mean, let's try it. But I don't think it will work. Hey, Hyperman! Yeah, let's get back here. All right, we are refactoring, and this is getting better. Write expense line for expense. So I want to extract this as a method. This is like a map first, getting the amount out. Ah, okay. Yeah. I think I'll stick with this. That seems a little hairier. I want to extract this now. Makes sense, El Tigre. Thank you for explaining that. And I didn't know you could do that. So this is going to be write expenses. And let's make expenses an internal name like that. So that's an extract method, provable. And this is calculate the meal expenses, right? This whole thing. Let's move this closer. So this is a, that's a refactoring. The refactoring book by Martin Fowler, in the second edition, he makes various changes. And one of the changes is he adds a refactoring called slide statements, which is exactly just what we did right now. And he said he didn't put it in the first book because he thought it was obvious. But he calls out that this is a refactoring. So let me just check this before I read what's going on. It brings the meal expense better. Do you want to combine the conditional on the same line as the for loop? I don't know how you can. In any case, I think also this is a smell where it shouldn't be, the expense should, like the meal expenses should sum themselves. So what I see here is the possibility of extracting all this now as like calculate meal expenses. And it returns an integer. Good. Maybe calculate meal expenses from the expenses, something like that. That's an extract method. Reminder that I'm adding those commit messages because the test passes and it's prompting me. This can now be a let. Let's apply the fix it. Do I have something in here about ring var? Yeah. I'll just say this is a provable one. All right, what do we got here? Ooh, we're doing calculations of the meal expenses. Let me move this printing stuff down so it's closer together. Except the total needs to be here. Wait, the total is only used inside of, it calculates the meal expenses and calculates the total. I'm not sure where to go. But what I'm observing is that we can move some, do some more sliding here. Meal expenses is used right here, so I'm going to, actually, I think I want to inline that. Do I want to inline that? I'm not sure. I kind of like that having separate. Hey, this is looking better. Now we have a print statement. We have a write. Do I want to change this? When I say inline, what do I mean by that? Let me back up. Let me go back. Sorry, by inline. I think you're asking, what do I mean when I say I'm going to inline that? Correct me if I'm wrong, because we can back up. I'm going to reset the branch, do a hard reset here, so that we're back here. So yeah, so inline is one of the refactorings. There are various inline ones. Let's see. There's inline class, inline function, and inline variable. And what I observed was that the meal expenses was calculated out here, and it wasn't used until here. And so the one step I didn't do was a slide statement to bring these closer together. So let me do that first. As long as it passes, it's good. And then I'm like, do I really need to call out meal expenses? Swiggy offers a simple explanation. Thank you, Swiggy. It's the opposite of extract. With app code, I can just say Command-Shift-N. The refactor menu offers it here. And it will basically, it will go through the steps that you have to do manually right now. So if I did this manually and did an inline variable, I would look it up in the list of refactorings, page 123, and it offers some steps. Mechanics, check that the right-hand side is free from side effects. So it should just be a pure function. If the variable isn't already declared immutable, it is declared immutable. Find the first reference to the variable and replace it with the right-hand side of the equation, of the assignment. So let me do this by hand. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy that and paste it in here instead. So this is manual inline part 1. The rest of it is to say, okay, then I don't need to do this anymore, so I can get rid of that line. And that's manual inline part 2. A balance there's a balance to doing that, I'm guessing. Like a balance between what and what. Brevity versus readability. Oh yeah, and the great thing about most refactorings is that you change your mind all the time. Like if you were around earlier, I think you were, I did an extract and then it was like we cleaned some things up and then I inlined it back and then it was in a different shape. So saying extract it first, inline it now, these moves, these steps, all so small, so variable and going in different directions. There's no ideal. There's only like focus on like what makes it express things better. And maybe this is less expressive. I don't know. Total expenses, like, do I want to inline that? Maybe. Hey, thank you for the subscribe. Whoa. Awesome. I'm not sure if I like it, but it says total expenses here, which suggests to me that I can also inline this. So I'm going to inline this just by going like this. You can see my shortcut down here. There we go. And so that's an inline bar done without doing it manually. And now this is starting to look better at this level. Expense report, it's like the header and the content and the footer. Swiggy, a while ago somebody asked on Twitter about the most underused refactorings, and Kent Beck answered inline. Kent would know. A clever person, that Kent Beck. If you don't know who Kent Beck is, do follow him and read his books. He is the person who is behind so much of extreme programming, along with a lot of the other original gang. And extreme programming is what I love to practice. So let me do something here. I'm going to call this out as like write the header. Oh, I don't like write header date. Let me change this so that it just has the, just has the internal name of date here. Right, so that's an extract method. And this is write totals or footer. It's really the totals, I think. Let me do for expenses like that. Reuse that commit message. So look at this now. Look at print report. Is this becoming more expressive and intention revealing? And I think it is. Print report writes a header with the date. It writes the expenses, and it writes the total for the expenses. Not bad. We are far from done. But something else I want to do is put this into top-down order, because I don't want to be hunting around here. I like things to read like this is the headline, and the next thing is write header. So let's move that up there so it's close. So that is a reorder methods. Write expenses, I want now to move up here. Ooh, Mudshark. Great idea. Write expenses. And expenses is doing a write expense line. Like that. Something else about app code that probably Xcode I doubt will ever have. I do hope that Apple adds greater refactoring ability. There are hints of this coming, that they're making, I forget what it's called, but the language sort of representer. What's the name of it? Anyway, that there's more and more, they're breaking processing of Swift apart into pieces that can be reused and extended. And hopefully that is, it's not the tokenizer, it's like an actual system for this and a representation. I mean, essentially it is the tokenizer, but I hope that they will add more refactoring. Maybe we'll get lucky this year. But something that I want to call out is how little I'm using the mouse. A lot of the things I do, I could do just by with the keyboard, and that is just, it's just faster than going around and mousing back and forth. Let's see here. Right expense line. Calculate meal expenses is down here. That's good. And print. Okay, so that's looking better. And we are about out of time. Maybe I'll keep going. I feel so close. No, there's more complexity in here. I think here's what I'm thinking. Remember, our job is to add lunch, and lunch should have an expense limit of 2,000. And if you cross that limit, you get the big X. Like, burn, you went over budget. All this kind of stuff should not be, like right now it's broken out, but it is still too hard to add lunch. We'd have to add it here and here and here. That's too much. So we're not at the point of the design that we want. So I think that will be a good goal to continue next time. So that is it for now. Yeah, some sort of subclassing, although it'll be interesting because expense is not a class. So Mudshark in Swift, you could subclass a class, but you can't subclass a struct. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. This was really good. This was a lot of fun, and it is the kind of refactoring I love to do, and it's the kind of refactoring that is possible with good comprehensive tests. And to make good comprehensive tests easier, approval tests I think are really powerful. I just bought my ticket to Swift TO. This will be a conference in Toronto on August 10th and 11th, I think. So I'm planning to go there, and I'm going to submit some talk proposals, and one of them is going to be about approval tests, and we'll see. Maybe I'll see some of you there. Thank you for joining. I do want to point out that there is still the ongoing pressure in the world, which affects our lives. It affects our coding. It affects our ability to work. I'm thinking particularly about the continuing invasion of Ukraine by Russia. The completely unprovoked invasion. Yes, I'm an American, and the U.S. has invaded lots of countries in its lifetime, and that doesn't make it right. So these pressures, the rise of fascism in the United States, these pressures affect us, and we are not just computing robots. So be kind to yourselves, give yourself a break, give your colleagues a break, and be understanding about their needs. Part of working well together is recognizing each other's humanity. So Maverick, hey, you're near Toronto, so maybe you can tell me what's good to do there. I don't think I've ever been. All right. that is it for this time. Thank you for joining. For those who are watching after the fact, if you've watched this far, do give it a like, a subscribe, a follow, and maybe join in person if you can on the live stream, because as you can see, the chat is lively and helpful for me, and it's fun. And if you can't, hey, just keep watching the recordings, and that's good too. So I will see you next week. Peace out.